Shabbat Shalom. Good morning, YouTube. Today we are going to continue on with our Bible readings. We're going to do it a little bit differently today. I have been doing 3 chapters every week, but there are 8 chapters left of Genesis, so we're going to do 4 chapters this week and 4 chapters next week. So it kind of evens up at the end there. Get your Bible, read along. Don't take my word for it. Read it for yourself. Get your coffee, because coffee is indicated. Always. Chapter 43. But the scarcity of food was severe in the land, and it came to be when they had eaten up the grain which they had brought from Mitzrayim, or Egypt, that their father said to them, "Go back, buy us a little food." But Yehudah spoke to him, saying, "The man vehemently warned us, saying, 'You do not see my face unless your brother is with you. If you let our brother go with us, we go down and buy you food. But if you do not let him go, we do not go down, because the man said to us, You do not see my face unless your brother is with you.' And Israel said," or another word for Jacob, "Why did you do evil to me to inform the man that you still had another brother?" And they said, "The man kept asking about us and our relatives, saying, 'Is your father still alive? Have you another brother?' And we informed him according to these words. How could we know that he would say, 'Bring your brother down'?" And Yehudah said to Israel his father, "Send the boy with me, and let us arise and go, and live and not die, both we and you and also our little ones. I myself stand guarantee for him. From my hand you are to require him. If I do not bring him back to you and set him before you, then let me bear the blame forever. For if we had not delayed, truly by now we could have returned this second time." And their father Israel said to them, "If so, then do this. Take some of the best fruit of the land in your vessels, and bring a present down for the man, a little balm and a little honey, spices and myrrh, nuts and almonds. And take double silver in your hand, and take back in your hand the silver that was returned in the mouth of your sacks. It could have been a mistake. And take your brother, and arise, go back to the man. And El Shaddai give to you compassion before the man, so that he shall release your other brother and Benjamin. And I, if I am bereaved, I am bereaved." And the men took that present and Benjamin, and they took double the amount of silver in their hand, and arose and went down to Mitzrayim, and stood before Joseph. And Joseph saw Benjamin with them, and said to the other over his house, "Bring the men home, and make a great slaughter, and prepare, for these men are to eat with me at noon." And the man did as Joseph said, and the man brought the men to Joseph's house. And the men were afraid, because they were brought into Joseph's house. And they said, "It is because of the silver, which was put back in our sacks the first time that we are brought in, to throw himself upon us and fall upon us, to take us as slaves, our donkeys too." So they came near to the man over the house of Joseph, and spoke to him at the door of the house, and said, "Oh, my master, we indeed came down the first time to buy food. But it came to be when we came to the lodging place, and we opened our sacks, and saw each man's silver in the mouth of his sack, our silver in its weight, and we have brought it back in our hand, and we have brought down other silver in our hand to buy food. We do not know who put our silver in our sacks." But he said, "Peace be with you. Do not be afraid. Your Elohim and the Elohim of your father has given you treasure in your sacks. Your silver had come to me." And he brought Shimon out to them. And the man brought the men into Joseph's house, and gave them water, and they washed their feet. And he gave their donkeys fodder. And they made the present ready for Joseph's coming at noon, for they heard they were to eat there. And when Joseph came home, they brought him the present which was in their hand into their house, and bowed down before him to the earth. And he asked them about their welfare, and said, "Is your father well? The old man of whom you spoke, is he still alive?" And they said, "Your servant our father is in good health, he is still alive." And they bowed their heads down and did obeisance. And he lifted his eyes and saw his brother Benjamin, his mother's son, and said, "Is this your younger brother of whom you spoke to me?" And he said, "Elohim show favor to you, my son." And Joseph hurried, for his emotions were deeply moved towards his brother. And he looked for a place to weep, and went into his room and wept there. Then he washed his face and came out and controlled himself, and said, "Serve the food." And they set him a place by himself, and them by themselves, and the Mitzrites who ate with them by themselves. For the Mitzrites could not eat food with the Hebrews, for that is an abomination to the Mitzrites. And they sat before him, the firstborn according to his birthright, and the youngest according to his youth. And the men looked at each other in astonishment. And he took portions to them from before him, but Benjamin's portion was 5 times as much as any of theirs. And they feasted, and they drank with him. So, when we had left off last week, Jacob was saying, "No, you're not taking the other brother down, because what if something happens?" But then they ran out of food. Or nearly ran out of food. So he relented, let them take him. And they're still scared, but things seem to be going better this time. At least so far. And they have lunch at Joseph's house. They get their other brother back, and Benjamin gets 5 times as much food as anybody else. But anyway, chapter 44. And he commanded the one over his house, saying, "Fill the men's sacks with food as they are able to bear, and put each man's silver in the mouth of his sack. And put my cup, the silver cup, in the mouth of the sack of the youngest, and the silver for his grain." And he did according to the word of Joseph, which he spoke. As soon as the morning was light, the men were sent away, they and their donkeys. And when they had gone out of the city, not having gone far, Joseph said to the one over his house, "Rise up, follow the men, and when you overtake them, say to them, 'Why have you repaid evil for good? Is this not the one from which my master drinks, and with which he indeed divines? You have done evil in what you have done.' So he overtook them and spoke these words to them. And they said to him, 'Why does my master say these words? Far be it from us that your servants should do according to this word. See, we brought back to you from the land of Canaan the silver which we have found in the mouth of our sacks. How then should we steal silver or gold from your master's house? With whomever of your servants it is found, he shall die, and we shall become my master's slaves as well.' And he said, 'Now also let it be according to your words. He with whom it is found becomes my slave, and you are innocent.' And they hurried, each man let down his sack to the ground, and each opened his sack. And he searched with the oldest first, and with the youngest last, and the cup was found in Benjamin's sack. And they tore their garments, and each man loaded his donkey, and went back to the city. And Yehudah and his brothers came to Joseph's house, and he was still there, and they fell before him on the ground. And Joseph said to them, 'What deed is this you have done? Did you not know that a man like me indeed divines?' And Yehudah said, 'What do we say to my master? What do we speak? Or how do we clear ourselves? Elohim has found out the crookedness of your servants. See, we are my master's slaves, both we and he also with whom the cup was found.' But he said, 'Far be it from me to do this. The man in whose hand the cup was found, he becomes my slave. And you go up in peace to your father.' And Yehudah came near to him and said, 'O my master, please let your servant speak a word in my master's hearing, and do not let your displeasure burn against your servant, for you are like Pharaoh.' My master asked his servants, saying, 'Have you a father or a brother?' And we said to my master, 'We have a father, an old man, and a young child of his old age, and his brother is dead, and he alone is left of his mother's children, and his father loves him. And you said to your servants, Bring him down to me, and let me set my eyes on him. And we said to my master, The boy is not able to leave his father, for he leaves his father shall die. But you said to your servants, Unless your youngest brother comes down with you, you do not see my face again. And it came to be, when we went up to your servant my father, that we told him the words of my master. And our father said, Go back and buy us a little food. But we said, We are not able to go down. If our youngest brother is with us, then we shall go down, for we are not able to see the man's face unless our youngest brother is with us. Then your servant, my father, said to us, You know that my wife bore me 2 sons. And the one went out from me, and I said, Truly he is torn to pieces, and I have not seen him since. And if you take this one from me too, and harm comes to him, you shall bring down my gray hair with the evil of Sheol. And now if I come to your servant my father, and the boy is not with us, since his own life is bound up in his life, Then it shall be, when he sees that the boy is not with us, that he shall die. So your servants shall bring down the gray hair of your servant our father with evil to Sheol. For your servant went guarantee for the boy to my father, saying, if I do not bring him back to you, then I shall be a sinner before my father forever. And now please let your servant remain instead of the boy as a slave to my master, and let the boy go up with his brothers. For how do I go up to my father if the boy is not with me, lest I see the evil that would come upon my father? So Joseph is giving them a little test, and let's see how they react. Let's see how they care about Benjamin. And he sets Benjamin up to look like Benjamin stole some fancy cut. Of course he didn't, and of course Joseph knows that. But he wants to see his brother's reactions. They have certainly changed a lot since Joseph was at home. Chapter 45. And Joseph was unable to restrain himself before all those who stood by him, and he called out, have everyone go out from me. So no one stood with him while Joseph made himself known to his brothers. And he wept aloud, and the Mitzrites in the house of the Pharaoh heard it. And Joseph said to his brothers, I am Joseph. Is my father still alive? But his brothers were unable to answer him, for they trembled before him. Then Joseph said to his brothers, please come near to me. And when they came near, he said, I am Joseph, your brother, whom you sold into Mitzrayim. And now do not be grieved nor displeased with yourselves, because you sold me here, for Elohim sent me before you to preserve life. For 2 years now the scarcity of food has been in the land, and there are still 5 years in which there is neither plowing nor harvesting. And Elohim sent me before you to preserve for you a remnant in the earth, and to give life to you by a great escape. So then you did not send me here, but Elohim. And he has set me for a father to Pharaoh, and master of all his house, and a ruler throughout all the land of Mitzrayim. Hurry and go up to my father, and say to him, thus says your son Joseph, Elohim has made me master of all Mitzrayim. Come down to me, do not delay. And you shall dwell in the land of Goshen, and be near to me, you and your children, and your children's children, your flocks and your herds, and all that you have. And I shall provide for you there, lest you and your household and all that you have come to poverty, because 5 years of scarcity of food are still to come. And look, your eyes and the eyes of my brother Benjamin see that it is my mouth that speaks to you. And you shall inform my father of all my esteem in Mitzrayim, and of all that you have seen, and you shall hurry and bring my father down here. And he fell on his brother Benjamin's neck and wept, and Benjamin wept on his neck. And he kissed all his brothers and wept over them, and after that his brothers spoke with him. And the report of it was heard by the house of Pharaoh, saying, the brothers of Joseph have come. And it was good in the eyes of Pharaoh and in the eyes of his servants. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, say to your brothers, do this. Load your beasts and go, enter the land of Canaan, and take your father and your households and come to me, and I give you the best of the land of Mitzrayim. And you eat the fat of the land. And you have been commanded, do this. Take wagons out of the land of Mitzrayim for your little ones and your wives, and you shall bring your father and come. And do not be concerned about your goods, for the best of all the land of Mitzrayim is yours. And the sons of Israel did this, and Joseph gave them wagons according to the mouth of Pharaoh, and he gave them food for the journey. He gave to all of them, to each man, changes of garments. But to Benjamin he gave 300 pieces of silver and 5 changes of garments. And he sent to his father this, 10 donkeys loaded with the best of Mitzrayim, and 10 female donkeys loaded with grain and bread and food for his father for the journey. So he sent his brothers away, and they left. And he said to them, do not quarrel along the way. And they went up out of Mitzrayim and came to the land of Canaan to Jacob their father. And they said to him, saying, Joseph is still alive, and he is governor over all the land of Mitzrayim. And Jacob's heart ceased, for he did not believe them. But when they spoke to him all the words which Joseph had spoke to them, and when he saw the wagons which Joseph had sent to transport him, the spirit of Jacob their father revived, and Israel said, enough, my son Joseph is still alive. Let me go and see him before I die. there is a very good lesson in that one. Joseph realizes the impact that he's having on all the land, Canaan and Egypt and all the other ones, that he was sent by Elohim to Egypt to be able to do this, to save lives. And he tells his brothers, it wasn't you that sent me here. It was Elohim. Because he knows a lot more than we do. And you may think that something horrible has happened, and you may think God has left you, and we talked about this last week. You may think God has left you, and how can it be? But there may be a purpose, a greater purpose that will bring blessing, that will do good, that God has planned for you. And Joseph recognizes that completely. Of course, it helps that he was blessed so much while he was a slave in Egypt. We're not all that blessed while we were going through our trials and tribulations. But I give you my own testimony of the lowest time of my life led me to a whole new place. And we are the better for it. Chapter 46. And Israel set out with all that he had, and came to Beersheba, and slaughtered slaughterings to the Elohim of his father Isaac. And Elohim spoke to Israel in the visions of the night, and said, Jacob, Jacob. And he said, Here I am. And he said, I am the Elohim of your father. Do not be afraid to go down to Mitzrayim, for I shall make you there a great nation. I myself am going down with you to Mitzrayim, and I myself shall certainly bring you up again. And let Joseph put his hand on your eyes. And Jacob rose up from Beersheba, and the sons of Israel brought their father Jacob and their little ones and their wives in the wagons which Pharaoh had sent to transport them. And they took their livestock and their property which they had acquired in the land of Canaan, and came into Mitzrayim, Jacob with all his seed with him, his sons and his sons' sons, his daughters and his sons' daughters, and all his seed brought with him to Mitzrayim. And all these were the names of the children of Israel, Jacob and his sons, who came into Mitzrayim. Reuben was Jacob's firstborn, and the sons of Reuben, Hanok and Palu and Hetzron and Carmi. I'm going to say probably all of these wrong. That's okay. And the sons of Shimon, Yemuel and Yamin and Ohad and Yakin and Sohar and Shaul, son of the Canaanite woman. And the sons of Levi, Gershon, Kehath, and Merari. And the sons of Yehuda, and Onan, and Shelah, and Peretz, and Zerah. But and Onan died in the land of Canaan. And the sons of Peretz were Hetzron and Hamuel. And the sons of Issachar, Tola, and Puah, and Job, and Shimron. And the sons of Zebulun, Sered, and Elon, and Yaliel. These were the sons of Leah, whom she bore to Jacob in Padan Aram, with his daughter Dinah, and all the beings, his sons and his daughters, were 33. And the sons of Gad, Siphon, and Haggai, Shuni, and Etzbun, Eri, Eridai, and Areli. And the sons of Asher, Yimnah, and Yishwa, and Yishwi, and Beriah, and Sarah their sister. And the sons of Beriah, Heber, and Malchiel. These were the sons of Zilpah, whom Laban gave to Leah his daughter. And these she bore to Jacob 16 beings. The sons of Rachel, Jacob's wife, Joseph and Benjamin. And to Joseph in the land of Mitzrayim were born Menashe and Ephraim, whom Asenath, the daughter of Potipharah, priest of On, bore to him. And the sons of Benjamin, Bela and Becher and Ashbel, Gera and Naaman, Ehi and Rosh, Mupim, Huppim, and Ard. These were the sons of Rachel who were born to Jacob, 14 beings in all. And the son of Dan, Hushim. And the sons of Naphtali, Yatzel and Guni and Yetzer and Shillem. These were the sons of Bilhah, whom Laban gave to Rachel his daughter, and she bore these to Jacob, 7 beings in all. All the beings who went with Jacob to Mitzrayim, who came from his body, besides Jacob's sons' wives, were 66 beings in all. And the sons of Joseph, who were born to him in Mitzrayim, were 2 beings. All the beings of the house of Jacob who went to Mitzrayim were 70. And he sent Yehudah before him to Joseph to point out before him the way to Goshen. And they came to the land of Goshen. And Joseph made ready his chariot and went up to Goshen to meet his father Israel. And he appeared to him and fell on his neck and wept on his neck a long time. And Israel said to Joseph, "Now let me die, since I have seen your face, that you are still alive." And Joseph said to his brothers and to his father's household, "I am going up to inform Pharaoh and say to him, my brothers and those of my father's house who were in the land of Canaan have come to me. And the men are shepherds, and they have been men of livestock, and they have brought their flocks and their herds and all that they have. And in it shall be, when Pharaoh calls you and says, 'What is your occupation?' that you shall say, 'Your servants have been men of livestock from our youth even till now, both we and also our fathers, so that you dwell in the land of Goshen, for every shepherd is an abomination to the Mitzrites.'" That is the end of the chapter and the end of the reading today. We get a whole lot of genealogy and begats and Hebrew names that I can't say properly. Although it's fun sometimes. But there was a lot of people that are descended from Jacob. And while they're in Egypt, Elohim will make them a great nation. And they will. It's going to take a few hundred years, but they will. And Joseph does not forget the fact that Pharaoh is still over him, and he's going to make sure that he doesn't bite the hand that feeds him. He's going to play nice with Pharaoh, be respectful. And Pharaoh loves him. It's like a brother, I mean, you don't put someone in charge of the entire country that you don't like. Just saying. But not much takeaway from that chapter, other than genealogy stuff, and Jacob is and Jacob says, "I can die now that I've seen you, and I know you're still alive." Because Jacob had not been doing well since Joseph was thought to be dead. Because that one really, based on the rest of the chapters here, that really seemed to break him. Not quite completely, because he still had Benjamin. But it definitely had a huge impact on his whole life. So much so that the other brothers, who originally wanted to kill Joseph, were so protective of Benjamin because they were worried that if anything happened to him, that their father would just die, that he would give up and completely die. So not only did it really affect Jacob, but because of that, it also affected everybody else. And it seems to be for the better for the most part with the other brothers. But we will read the rest of Genesis next week. So I hope you join us again next Saturday. I hope you're reading along in your Bible. And may the Father bless you. Shalom.